the Daily Derringer Podcast.
Okay, boys, I got to be in my bonnet.
Okay.
Okay, let's start here. How long, on average, do you have to be on the roads in the Greater Toronto Area for somebody to do something stupid within your viewing zone?
I can tell you right now, where we work, it's a mad construction house.
Mm-hmm.
And so leaving work, it could be as fast as 30 seconds. For some reason, college kids live next door. They think that this is a crosswalk right here. So seconds, to answer your question.
Seconds, 100%.
Doesn't take long.
No.
Do you ever find yourself marveling for like 5 minutes at a time that you haven't seen anybody do anything stupid?
Right, and I also think to myself, does everyone think they're a good driver?
Yes, I do. I think yes.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I'm sure I've weaved and made some mistakes, and people look at me from a distance like, what's that guy's problem? But I think I'm okay.
It's funny that you I think we would readily admit, like I'll admit, I'm not great with computers. I know the basics, but I don't know the back. What did you call it?
Like the back end, the back door, like,
stuff.
that
I
kind
don't
of
know
stuff.
that
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
I just know how to work it.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
And I would gladly admit that. But if somebody said, man, you're a horrible driver, I would take that very personally.
I think so too. People take pride. And I don't want to say especially men, but I feel like men in particular. Like, very rarely will a man admit that he can't drive standard. And if you can't, you're probably going to take some heat for it from a group of people. Fact.
Or if you just said, look, I drive scared.
Yes.
Right? I drive every time I get behind the wheel. I'm terrified. I mean, I've never heard a guy say that.
Yeah, right. I can't parallel park. It freaks me out.
Well, and one of the things I want to eventually get to is the raising of the speed limit. And like right off the top, it's not too hard to say, like we have enough problems at this speed. Is raising it gonna help? But anyway, and you know that I have a thing with the turn signal. But I encountered another thing on the roads that makes me insane.
Yeah.
It makes me nuts. We all see it all the time. You're on, and we debated this morning, the difference between a 2-lane and a 4-lane road, right? Mm-hmm. Like, do you think of a 2-lane road as 2 lanes going one direction, 2 lanes going the other direction, or is a 2-lane road just 2 lanes, one each direction?
I wish there was a universal answer so we could all know what it is.
Just like a universal pant size.
Right. Yeah, exactly. When I think 2-lane, I think one is going north and one is going south.
Yes.
But I could understand the argument if someone's like, I'm on a 2-lane highway, and they're talking about 2 lanes going south and 2 lanes going north.
Correct.
Right?
Which I think causes a lot of miscommunication.
Like, you're laughing.
Yeah.
Because
my literal mind, it blows my mind. If it's a 2-lane highway, there are 2 physical lanes. One north, one south. One east, one west.
Yes.
Because there's 2 lanes. If there's 2 going north, 2 going south, it's 4 lanes.
Okay, so what would you say the 401 is?
I don't know how many lanes there are.
Well, let's just say there's
16
3
lanes.
Is that what you would say?
Sure. Yes.
Because I can see why people think a 2-lane is 2 going one way. That's all my point is. I know you're talking a little thing, but I can understand why there's confusion.
Yes.
Yes.
So a 4-lane is 2 and 2, 2 each way, right?
Yep.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm driving up a major street, it's Leslie Street in Newmarket yesterday. And this makes me insane, boys. I'm going to tell you right now. So coming out on, intersecting the street as I'm driving, and it's, again, 2 lanes each way, 4-lane road with center lane, so it's actually 5 lanes.
There.
And there are streets along the path I'm taking coming out from the right, okay, coming from the outside lane. So I look up ahead, and there's nobody around me. It's just me, and I'm just in the outside lane, the slow lane. And there's a street, there's no light or anything, just a stop sign for them and no stop sign for us. And this car is going to turn right in my path, okay? So I see this car. They're waiting for me. As I get closer, they're waiting for me. 100 meters before they decide they're going to go.
Drives me nuts. Pull it in front of you.
Like, first of all, are you afraid? Did it take you that long to make this decision? Right now, you're coming right out in front of me.
Yes.
You had 10 seconds to decide, is that car? And we got to think, we have to think quickly when you're driving, right? Okay, car, I do the quick calculation in my head. I'll wait or I'll go. Instead, this clown sits there for 5 seconds, and I'm watching, and the inch starts. And now you cause an accident.
I couldn't agree more.
So this is my point to this is, we love to talk about aggressive drivers, and I have no time for heavily aggressive drivers. Speed was involved. Well, you know what the cops say? Speed's involved when you're doing 101 on the 401.
Sure.
Speed is now involved. He's doing 101, right? It's very, very technical. There's no leeway whatsoever. But why is that person never penalized? Never. That person, to me,
Yes.
is a far greater scourge. The person who can't decide, the person who drives terrified, is a much bigger scourge. Oh, you want to get me started?
I love it.
You
Go,
get
man.
me started
Because we
here?
can all relate to
okay,
this.
I'm going to tell you something right now, and there will be exceptions to this in every rule. Every single time I hear somebody say, "Those darn tailgaters." You know what? If you get tailgated a lot, you drive in the fast lane too slowly. Check how many times you see tailgaters in the slow lane.
Yes.
You don't.
And even if you're on a 2-lane and you're just the 1 lane and its speed limit's 80 and you're going 85, you might get the odd guy on your bum. But generally speaking, I find like if you're going the speed limit or even a little bit above, you'd be okay. You're going
Not
too
if you're
slow.
in the wrong lane. If you're doing 110 in the fast lane, you're not going fast enough.
No
You're
way
not
you should be
going
doing
fast.
110 in the fast lane.
I've seen
Yes,
people
I
doing
know.
90
oh, I
in
know.
the fast lane.
I know. It's crazy. And the worst part is they don't even sense when you pass them on the right that you're giving them a death stare and they're just keep going.
How about when you're the 45th car to pass them on the right?
I don't get it.
But we love to talk about the guy doing, he was doing 110.
Yes.
The speed demon. Going in and out of traffic.
I say this to my wife all the time because we're always on 2-lane roads, and your example is exactly what drives me nuts. Is you're driving and there's a car up above, and I'm thinking, you know what? Why not? Like, and you can see there's no one behind me. Why not wait that extra 5 seconds and let me go? And then you have all the time in the world to ramp up and catch up on speed. Like, I'll never understand that. Even this morning, I was turning left onto a 2-way, and a guy was going, I could have definitely gone, but I'm like, you know what? He might have to slow down a little bit. I'll wait 8 more seconds so he goes, and then I can go at my own pace. I don't understand. Like, the common sense feels like it's just gone.
How about 4-lane road? Somebody goes out to pass a truck, and they do the exact same speed as the truck for 3 kilometers. Why did you get me going on this?
know.
Why did you do this? I'm blaming both of you.
Well, it's because it's the government with the whole 110.
Well, what the hell were they thinking then? They should have known. This is the fallout. Now I'm upset.
right?
What else you got? What else you angry about?
No,
I like this.
I saw a guy I've never seen this before.
I'll come up with something,
Yeah,
Johnny.
yeah.
A guy indicated left and went right.
Saw it
Yeah.
yesterday.
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Saw it yesterday.
How do you even do that?
With the way the stock is,
Yes.
it's impossible to do.
I don't even get how it's.
You have to hold the stock.
Yes, you indicated left, so you're in a right lane. You indicated left, so you go in the middle lane, and then you ended up going right to the off ramp.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just don't get it. Like your brain, like I don't know. When you've been driving for a certain amount of years, left down is such an automatic. It's not even funny. Like I think I'd have to overthink it to do it the wrong way. I'd have to think, okay, I'm making left. I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to click the clicker up.
Really doesn't sound that difficult.
And I, you know, I'm sure you do it with kids. And Johnny, you will when your daughter gets older, because my kids are at the age now they're boys and they're starting to ask about why is this dotted lane and this, and it's fun to explain to them because I want them when they're 16 to be ready to go. And I always say, and they say to me, Daddy, why doesn't everyone use their clicker, like their indicator? And I'm like, son, because people are selfish, to be honest. Indicator means you indicate. You're letting those around you know where you're going, so they're cool with it.
It's
so
not
simple.
an option.
It's not.
It's not an option in our vehicles. It is not optional. But it's never enforced. Well,
Right.
I shouldn't say never.
Very rarely.
Rarely, very rarely enforced. And I think in order for it to be enforced, you would have to cause an accident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you also think it's such a habit to indicate that, you know, when the three of us are on the roads, often there's not a lot of people on the road, and you could get away with not indicating. It's such a habit that you just do it, even at 3 o'clock in the morning with no one around.
Well, who was it that called Jerry Seinfeld on that with comedians in
Oh,
cars
yeah,
getting
that's right.
coffee?
Yeah.
And they said, dude, like you're coming. Well, Jerry's driving.
Yes.
Jerry, you just put you had your turn signal coming out of the driveway.
Yes.
He said, I use my turn signal everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to start saying, I don't need it now. I
Right.
don't need it now. Well, then one of those times, you're going to say, I don't need to look over my shoulder. Screw it.
Down my street, it seems to be, I don't know if you have this on your street, people don't indicate when they turn into their driveways. So you're all going a certain speed, and then somebody just automatically hammers on the binders and goes left into their driveway.
Yeah, like I
Why don't you just
assume
let me know what you're doing?
I know.
I'm not Kreskin. I don't know what you're about to do. Just turn on your indicator and go into your driveway. That way I'm not plowing into the back of you.
Yeah.
Like, am I nuts?
It's so simple. I know. It's so frustrating. I bet you indicating is probably the biggest pet peeve for people. Because I can't even think of what number 2 would be. I guess speeding, but I don't even know.
Well, I also don't know, because if you don't find yourself in a position where you would ask somebody, but there's times when I will see somebody and watch them drive and go, man, I just like 10 minutes with
why?
that
Sure.
guy. I want 10 minutes because I got 10 questions for you. Why do you not use turn signals? Like, why? What's your reason? And believe me, we've done this on the radio a number of times and said, if you don't use your turn signals, tell us why. We get pretty good response to every question we ask. We get no responses. Nobody will admit. So you know you're doing something wrong.
Right. You don't admit it.
I would at least respect somebody who said, hey, you know what? I think I'm above them.
Yeah.
I'd at least respect your honesty.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
above. I'm such a great driver. I don't need to use my turn signal. I would totally disagree. But I'm better that than lying about it.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I was thinking about this the other day, speaking of driving. Do you find less and less people using their phones in their car as a phone? Like holding the physical phone to their ear. I will say, I see a ton of people still texting, and it's on their lap and all that kind of stuff, looking at maybe directions or whatever. But I will say, probably because of Bluetooth and the way cars are designed now, I don't find as many people physically holding their phone and talking
I
while
haven't
driving.
seen. I saw somebody texting at a stoplight yesterday.
Yep.
But to see somebody,
Phone.
because I think you also know, like now it's a real heat score,
Yes,
right?
big
That's what
time.
they're looking for. Okay, if we are going to be okay, and it looks like it's probably going to go through, be okay with various zones in the city having red light camera. Well, and we already have the red light cameras, like speed cameras, photo radar, essentially. At some point, will they not have some technology that will determine that you're on your phone in your car?
Oh, I would think in time they would.
Would we allow that?
Well, because they do that if you get in an accident and they suspect you're on your phone,
They can search the records.
and they can do the records and find
but
out.
preemptively.
Yeah, no, I think within time, it's technology, they'd be able to do that. I don't know. I think they would be able to.
Well, you're okay. Just throwing it out there. You're in a school zone, and it's a 40. Who is the worst offender? The person doing 44, or the person not looking up from their lap?
Right.
I'll take the guy doing 44 any day.
Yeah. Yeah, the
But
rights are on the road.
that person is going to get caught.
Yeah.
The person who is under the speed limit, and sometimes severely under the speed limit because their eyes aren't on the road, and we have this weird thing where you can tell somebody's texting because they can't do the exact same speed. The old walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right.
It is really, really hard to be concentrating on something on your phone and continuing along your path in a vehicle at exactly the same speed. You are going to naturally slow down.
But it's a lot easier to point a gun at a car and say you're going 44, you're getting a ticket.
You got it.
Right.
You got that.
Which is the lesser of two evils.
Why did you two upset me?
I
Do
don't
you feel better?
You can vent your spleen.
because I'm
No,
going,
still no.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you why, because I'm going back out
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, that's the
Because
problem.
it's not going to change anything.
It's like Hamburger Hill out there.
And Ryan, you had this happen not long ago, and to me, it's if you want to distill all these problems we have on the road down into one, and that is admit it when you screwed
Yeah,
up.
right. Yep. Me and the guy got into it. And he was, and I'll tell you, I'll admit it if I'm wrong. That's one thing I have no problem saying. I gapped, I screwed up, I made a mistake. I think we all can do that. And it doesn't matter the details, but it was a guy in a big old tow truck, but like a heavy tow. And he went right through the red light, and I almost hit him, and I would have got all the damage. We get to the next light, and he's yelling at me, "Can't you see the lights on this thing?" I go, "But you went through a red light. How am I wrong?"
Well, so he's going to do it again.
Right, exactly. And
Right.
I really truly wish. The problem is, he was yelling, I was yelling. If we both get our cars, there's a good chance it's some sort of fight. What I really wanted to do is what you said earlier. I'd love just to pull over and just say, explain to me why you tell me why I'm wrong, and then I'll explain to you why, and maybe we can have a conversation. And there was another truck that was with him that stopped. And I'd love to ask him, I know you're buddies, but just tell me, was he wrong? You stopped, why didn't he? But you can't have those conversations.
No,
People are too
no.
heated, right?
No, indeed. It's like arguing on Twitter.
Yep.
The two things you're never going to see or rarely see: a motorist say, sorry, I screwed up, and somebody on Twitter say the same thing.
Yes, sir. Daily Deirdre podcast. I don't know what we're talking about here, Johnny. Take it away.
All right, so 1 week from today, it's going to feel like 35 degrees. That's the forecast. A little cooler on the weekend and then ramping up again. So at that point, we'll be like just a couple of weeks away from Thanksgiving. Too hot?
I feel bad complaining because people, are going to be all over you. And I get winter's coming and I understand all that. But for me, I'll just say it is too hot.
Yeah, way too hot. It's way too hot. So hot, in fact, 6 years ago, my dad decided to cancel Thanksgiving because it's so damn hot. That was
He
it.
just said, no way, too hot, not doing Thanksgiving.
I remember calling him and being like, Dad, what's going on for Thanksgiving? Like a Sunday? Is it going to be a Monday afternoon thing? No, I'm not having it this year. Why? Oh, it's like 32 degrees outside. Okay, great, fantastic. And my birthday is in October, and sometimes it falls on the weekend. And that was one of the
Double
weekends
dip.
that my birthday fell on it. So not only was Thanksgiving canceled, but also my birthday.
Oh.
Okay.
Every time you tell us a story like that, it explains you a little bit better.
Somehow every story that's ever been made in the world comes back to your family.
Were you told you were loved at any juncture in your early...
Like, only would be like, hey, it's going to be like 30 degrees on Thanksgiving. Oh, you won't believe it. My dad canceled my birthday. What does that got to do with anything? But I love it. On a side note,
Yeah.
as a spectator, I love it. I bathe in it.
Perfect. I'm glad. Makes me happy.
Okay, but I
knowing
will
you're
say
at.
this. It was like 6 years ago, whatever it was, because my brother and sister-in-law just got a pool. And I remember they didn't move into the house with the pool until September, so they're like, it kind of sucks. Like, we get a pool and we won't be able to use it. Well, that was the Thanksgiving. We swam on Thanksgiving, and then you got to eat a big old bird
Yeah.
with the gravy and the stuffing. You
Well,
feel
Oh, I
awful.
feel terrible for you. You had to swim and then eat turkey? Oh my God, Ryan.
It's-
What kind of life do you live?
I'm sorry,
Oh,
my parents.
goodness.
Okay, should I apologize that my parents love me? Okay, I'll say it. I'm sorry.
First we had to swim and then we had an 8-course meal. Jeez. So sorry, bro. Everybody feel bad for Ryan.
It was meat sweats and hot sweats.
Point awarded to John Garber.
For sure. You went in this point. Right. You're right.
So
It's selfish of me.
While you were swimming
Right.
on the hottest Thanksgiving we've ever had.
Yeah, yeah.
While you were swimming and eating an 8-course meal.
Yes.
Johnny was crying in the
Right.
basement.
That's right.
Who had the worst day?
That's right.
Oh, you had to have mashed potatoes in your swim trunks? Oh my. Did you eat outside? Ooh. I got gravy on my tank top. Daily Deirdre podcast, Rye. We're talking about dating. Thank goodness I ain't in the dating game.
You might be, actually, because as you're just talking, and I'm not lying, it's 10:37, Wednesday, September 25th. Oh, your wife just texted and said,
Call when you're not busy.
he's getting divorced.
Okay, Johnny, your child, your baby, your papoose, your little bundle of joy is going to be a year old in November.
Yes.
How many date nights have you been on since the birth of your child?
There was one. Well, we've been out once together, and we had to come home early because she wouldn't go down. So it was one.
And where'd you go?
We just went to the old Bolton movie factory and watched a little flick. We had to leave halfway through.
I got a
text.
theater in Bolton.
We do. Landmark. It's fantastic.
Nice. What'd you see?
What did we the Bad Kids one?
Oh, yes,
Oh, yeah.
Bad Kids.
Yeah, where the kid goes into the side of the panel
Yeah,
track?
it's hilarious.
Okay. And then you had to go home. 'cause
Then we
your
had to
baby
go
was
home.
crying, yeah. Date night can be tough like that. How often do you go on a date night, Parker?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not very much.
No.
Like, it's to the point where people say we should go out more. So 10 years, we've had kids now for 10 years. And I'm not kidding. If you don't include like a wedding that we kind of have to go to, just a date night, 7,
Like where you purposely
go out.
set aside a night that you are going to go out as a couple.
I will say our youngest is now 5 and our oldest is almost 11. So this last year we've kind of gone out a little bit more to like a party or a get together, not too far from the home. But we don't really go out a lot together.
I would say that if we were to visit a professional, that they would probably tell us the same thing. Like, you people have to leave the house.
So, yeah, you
from
take my
time
kids to
time.
frickin' hockey then. You live my life for a week. You live my wife's life for a week. Frickin' love when people say that. You should go out more. Yeah, great.
Date
Who's taking
night-
care of our kids?
Date nights aren't cheap, though, Johnny.
They're not. If you're single and you need to go out once every week, once every 2 weeks. The dating game is a game I don't want to play because it costs a lot. It's $150. Toronto's the most expensive city to go out on a date. About $23 more than the average across this country, which is $127. And the typical date that they say is a mid-range dinner for two, a shared bottle of wine, 2 movie tickets, and an 8-kilometer taxi ride home, which is unbelievably specific. I think it's a little bit cheap. I think it's more expensive. If I was to go out now to go on a first date, it would be more expensive than $150.
I agree with
feel.
you.
What would you max out at? Like, what would you prepare to spend on a first? $250?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, the movies alone. So you're saying dinner, shared bottle of wine, and a movie?
Mid-range.
Yeah.
For how much?
$150.
Well,
That's
if
what I'm
it's
saying.
1950, are you insane?
I know.
The movies alone,
Yeah.
if you get 2 tickets to a movie and popcorn and stuff, that's going to be $75.
I think they snuck by the kid at the
Right,
at
yeah.
the front of the theater, who, by the way,
Right.
really enjoyed Training Day
Yes,
as a film.
that's right. On their little badge.
Yeah.
Sandlot's my favorite movie. Guess what, kid? I don't care.
Why was Training Day so popular?
Yes.
And I also feel that if you're taking somebody out to a mid-range dinner for two, you're probably not getting that second date. I feel like you have to go a little bit higher if it's a first date on someone that
And
you're
also,
Wait a
courting.
second, though. You know, we have a policy here. and It's an immobile policy, and that is never set the bar too high, man.
Right.
You go 250 date one. What are you going to do date two? Now you're down $500.
So you're saying you show your cards on the first date, you got nothing in the deck afterwards.
Exactly.
You gotta go probably somewhere between mid and high end. You know what I mean? Like somewhere in between. Somewhere where it's like one restaurant, not two combined, like a Harvey Swish LA. You know what I mean? Also, shared bottle of wine. What am I, not having sex? She's drinking the whole thing.
So what would your max be on a first date?
Rise Max?
Ryan, I want to hear this one. So the
Okay.
average is about a
The
buck,
average is
buck and
127.
127 in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
A date, this date, right, sort of down the middle, $150.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny says he'd spend $250. I'm kind of with him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? I'm gonna guess $30.
Yeah, because I'm grabbing a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store, and we're going to eat that in the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're going to rent a movie instead of going to the movie, right? And I'll have
Probably illegally download it.
yeah, just stream it, and it's in like Chinese.
And what's bus fare nowadays?
What's a VPN?
Bus fare.
And then bus fare home.
You know I won't take the bus because I don't know how a transfer works. So, joke's on you. I will drive my own car that has no air conditioning and a really loud engine.
So you're not going to have to pay much for vehicular maintenance anyway.
No, and we'll go backseat bandit, old school.
And where in Canada do you think is the cheapest cost average per date?
I'm going to say North Battleford, Saskatchewan.
Incorrect.
Bonjour.
Oui, oui.
Come on.
Quebec City.
We back.
112.
Really?
Have you seen the cost of booze there? It's a
Oh,
joke.
that's true, too.
Oh, you can get a bottle of wine for $3.
You do it on discount table dance night, you're probably sitting at about $40. $40 and you got yourself an evening.
That's it.
Big quart of beer. 5 ans, s'il vous plaît.
Thanks for listening to the Daily Derringer podcast.